Welcome, everyone. Welcome to ThursdAI for July 17th. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with weights and biases. And today is a special stream for me because, as you see, maybe because of my hat, it's my birthday today. So a very celebratory birthday stream for me with a bunch of folks. Not only that, today is a special stream because it was an insane week. Again, an insane week. I don't remember us having a break lately, but some weeks are still less crazy than others. This one was crazy. I'm going to add LDJ, my trusty co-host here, while others pull up to briefly probably agree with me, dude. This was quite a week. LDJ is going to join us in a second and discuss how much quite a week it was. But not every week do we get a new open source that's completely obliterating everything that was there before. And this week, just a little bit after we finished live streaming last week and we celebrated Grok 4 and everything that happened there, then a company called Moonshot showed up and decided to drop fairly silently as well. I think we covered Moonshot before. The most incredible non-reasoning model, basically beating Sonnet at Def Code, at coding. Live code bench evals are crazy, and so we're definitely going to chat about the new open source king called Kimi Moonshot K2, which was trained a very specific way and just an incredible model overall. But besides the open source model, we had a fairly crazy week. Besides this, because some company called Grok AI decided to release waifus. And I don't know if we mentioned waifus on the show too much, but I think we did. And this week also, not only did they release Grok 4 last week, the folks at XAI decided to add animated characters to the Grok app. And one of them is called Annie and basically a waifu. So let me add Nistan here. Nistan, welcome to the stage.
Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I was just talking about waifus. Have you had the chance to chat with Annie already and Grok?
No, I was hoping for more jailbreaks and corporate secrets leaking and not disappointed.
Not waifus?
To be honest. Yeah, it just wasn't quite there.
You're not a waifu enjoyer? I saw a jailbreak. Not a jailbreak yet, but first of all, I saw Pliny jailbreak the waifus. But second of all, I saw somebody that looked and saw that once you request which character you want, the Grok app downloads those assets, and those are just regular Unity 3D assets. And so you basically can man in the middle of them and replace Annie with anything you want. Folks, besides the DeepSeek moment, let's say, it's another DeepSeek moment. Besides the Kimi K2, so besides all these, we also had LG. You guys remember we talked about LG, the refrigerator? They released Exa 1 4. We had a bunch of announcements from multiple labs about fundraisers. Multiple labs, like billions of dollars are getting spent left and right. We did cover the kind of the meta superintelligence stuff. I'm actually doing a TLDR right now, so might as well just do a TLDR, right? But before this, I do want to say we started the show, Nistan, last time we missed you, with basically introducing the hosts and talking about one thing in AI that stood out for them. You missed it last time, so feel free to introduce yourself, what you do for folks who are new to listening to our pod. We have more and more folks. And then also, what was the one thing that we can't skip today that was the most important for you this week?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Nistan Tahira. I'm CTO at Easy Does It. We make a boomer app for homeowners associations in the US. But mostly people know me from the open source AI community and from all those releases. And I think the one thing we can't miss is just how good Kimi has been with actual vibe coding, because it's been an entire week in, and the integrations of the Kimi K2 model into vibe coding tools and it actually being able to do a good job has been very interesting. And so I think that's the one thing we can't really miss.
I think we'll start with this. Kimi is that big. The Kimi is definitely a DeepSeek moment. We'll start with this. Welcome to the show. You joined us as we are starting the TLDR. Folks who are listening, I will say, as is tradition, despite birthdays, despite everything, as is tradition, OpenAI is going to have a live stream in, I want to say 17 minutes? No. We need to verify when the live stream is actually, but we're gonna restream this on the show because OpenAI cannot help themselves but release on a Thursday, and this is why ThursdAI exists. So when OpenAI releases something, it's called Odyssey. It's an operator plus deep research plus agentic stuff. We're gonna definitely restream this. We're gonna focus on Kimi. We're gonna talk about everything else. We're gonna talk about Kiro, and we're gonna do a TLDR, so you know everything that happens super quick. But folks are saying that the live stream is in an hour and 13 minutes. That gives us plenty of time to discuss, to give us everything about the show. Although I will rush us a little bit, and then we're gonna tune into the OpenAI live stream. We're gonna be the first. As always, you guys know you love the commentary. We sit live, we'll watch together, and we react. So we're definitely gonna do that. But for now, I think it's time to start with the TLDR. Alrighty, folks, welcome to the show. Here's everything that we're going to cover on ThursdAI. Breaking news notwithstanding, everything we're going to cover on ThursdAI for July 17, 2025, my birthday. It's really funny.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. First of all, host and guest, folks, as always, with you, Alex Volkov, an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases, and CoreWeave. Very important to mention, and CoreWeave specifically on the stream today, because you'll find out why in a second. I have co-hosts here, Wolfram Raven, Wolf Nisten, and LDJ was here. Yam may join us in a bit as well. We may have a few surprise guests as well. We'll see. And in open source LLMs, the biggest news of the week, maybe of the month in open source, maybe since DeepSeek. I don't know. Like, this feels bigger than Llama. Moonshot, a company from, I believe, China also, launches Kimi K2. It's a 1 trillion parameter, not tokens. I remember models were 1 trillion tokens. They were trained 1 million tokens. No, this is 1 trillion parameters. It's a huge model. It's an MOE that beats Sonnet at Sweetbench Verified and a bunch of other things. We're going to definitely talk about this at length because this has been an incredible model and the vibes are off the charts everywhere. All of the high taste testers think that this is like the best model. We got Kimi K2 and Kimi K2 Instruct. The Instruct is the chat model, but the base model is the one that's interesting to the open source community as well. So we're going to chat about this. We also have friend of the show, Technium, drop the Hermes 3 dataset. It's a huge data set, so shout out to our friends at News Research and Technium because data sets are always great. Models come and go, but this already has some data sets in it, and other data sets will have it in them. And it's great. And also, LG, the refrigerator company, released an update to their XO1 model called XO1 4. It's hybrid attention, agentic tool use, multilingual. They claim state of the art, but I don't know. I think there's a few open source releases, but we're definitely going to focus on the main one from Moonshot. Then we're going to move to big companies and APIs, where we're going to announce a few insane funding rounds, specifically Mira Murati from Thinking Machines, without a product yet. We don't know what they're doing. Like we can speculate, but we don't know what they're doing. We know that there's a bunch of OpenAI folks there and some other folks. They've announced a $2 billion funding round. Not valuation. Fund. It's like the parameters for models are getting insane, but also the fundraisers for these AI companies going insane. They don't have a product yet, and they have $2 billion funding, additional funding to what they had before. I don't even know what the valuation is. We're also going to chat about how Grok 4 now has waifus and has animated characters that you can talk to inside the Grok app. The person who's very worried about the birth rate in the world decided to kill the birth rate like directly. We have to talk about this. Elon Musk adds waifus, animated characters into XAI. It's really funny. And then even they're going a little bit crazy. OpenAI is going to have a live stream in an hour and 19 minutes, and we're going to restream this with you. They're going to announce something called OpenAI's agent mode or Odyssey, and it's some combination of operator and deep research, and we're going to tune in and discuss because I think it's going to be great. Gemini released an embedding model, not a model itself on open source, but the model like embedding service, let's say, and it's getting the top score on all the MTB leaderboards, which is great. We should definitely discuss this. I haven't embedded anything in a while because the context windows are so large, but still, folks are using embedding models. Speaking of embeddings, Amazon had the whole here's us and AI thing while we wait for Alexa Plus, which is nowhere to be found because I tried and I couldn't find it. Even though Andy Jassy talks about Alexa Plus, Amazon announced like a few things. Among them, Amazon S3 now supports Vector Store. So they have their own vector store in Amazon. So that's great. Amazon also launches Kiro. It's a VS Code fork for a spec-driven AI IDE for developers. So we're going to chat about this as well. Kiro is Amazon's answer to Cursor and Windsurf and like all these things. Then in this week's buzz, it's going to be a big one, folks. It's going to be a big one. And actually, I will tap into my co-host here, Wolfram, to actually help me talk about this because he helped me test this out. Weights and biases is no longer GPU poor. You've known this since the acquisition with CoreWeave, but now we're actually using those GPUs and you can get access to the same infrastructure that OpenAI uses to train and inference their models. CoreWeave is backing the new WNB service, WNB Inference, and we worked very hard over the weekend to put the Kimi K2 on it. And for many of you who are listening to the show, I have a little raffle going on. If you reply with a certain keyword that you're going to have to wait until I get to the thing, you'll get $50 of free inference on our platform to run and use Kimi K2. And it's really a great inference platform out there. We're going to chat about an open, scalable, ready for production model sitting on WNB Inference, our new service. I will just say, I'll pause here for a moment and say, after doing 2.5 years the show, after celebrating open source, because one of the best things that happened is many inference providers put them on super quick, sitting behind the scenes on a launch like this was super cool for me. Was super cool because I knew immediately what we need. I'm the consumer of this thing. I immediately know, folks, we need an OpenAI compatible API. We need this, we need that, we need speed, we need inference, we need to be the first. I knew all the things. And then I was able to help with the launch. I was very happy. I definitely encourage you to stick around until this week's buzz, where I'll tell you how to get $50 free in inference. And I've been waiting for the moment where I can give out credits in the show so that you guys can use them and tell us how the services are. Super, super cool this week's buzz this week. And we also have vision and video. Runway launches Act 2, which is their motion capture model, the model that you can act and then you can put any face and then it just puts it on you. It looks ridiculously good. Voice and audio, Mistral came out of nowhere with Voxtral. First of all, Mistral's naming is impeccable, even if some of the decision stuff, let's say, are not always open source, but it's always Mistral related. So Voxtral and Mixtral, and there's a bunch of others that they had, the DevStral. So Mistral's Voxtral is an open speech recognition state-of-the-art model. It's huge though. So basically think of Whisper Bidder. It's incredible that we're still talking about Whisper 3 years after. Voxtral small is 24 billion parameters. Small. I love the very cavalier decision to talk about sizes and mention something that's small as 24 billion parameters.
Everything is getting bigger. We have the 1 trillion parameter model, now a small model that is 24B. Whoa. That's
true. I mean, Jensen doesn't sleep, and the capabilities are getting larger as well, so they have to keep up. I will say Whisper is the biggest Whisper is 3 billion parameters. So 24 billion beating Whisper is okay. Thank you, guys. AI art and diffusion, we don't have anything yet. I think there's something small, actually. OpenAI has a OpenAI image service in API, has a new high-quality mode that we don't gonna have to chat about this, but they have a new high quality mode where you can preserve the input higher. It looks bad, but it looks less bad. Then in tools, we're going to chat about Liquid. Launches Leap. You guys remember Liquid from last week? We chatted with Maxime Lebon, head of post-training in Liquid. Our friend, Maxime Lebon, friend of the pod. Liquid also launched Leap with Apollo. Apollo is this app that allows you to run open models on device. And Leap is a platform for enabling developers to build with on device in iOS app. And it's super cool. Like they run like a 300 million parameter model super quick on device. And then if we get there, we're going to chat about Amazon's Kiro, which is the VS Code fork. This is what I have on this week on the show. There's also a bunch of stuff about folks getting hired again, some folks going back to the place where they came from. We cover what happened in AI, and this, I will just say like super quick, this kind of like a circus of sports betting where people traded and whatever, I don't find it newsworthy necessarily. We'll mention this. But we want to stay a high signal show for you guys. So we'll mention this so you'll know, so you won't be surprised because some of this is surprising. But honestly, it's not AI related. The only AI related thing there is those people work on AI stuff. But otherwise, it's like Silicon Valley, like BS. And so we will mention this a little bit, but not necessarily spend a lot of time on this because we want to give you the highest signal news show. And we have to run through this because also OpenAI is going to deploy something super cool and we have to restream this as well. Alrighty, folks, this has been the TLDR, and I think it's time for us to dive in. Before we dive in, First of all, I'm going to look at comments from folks to see if I missed anything. Besides the birthday wishes, did I actually miss any important news piece? Doesn't look like it. Folks are generally with us. And folks on the show, Wolfram and Nistan, anything big that we're missing that we should add to the show besides this?
No, I'm just waiting for Quant3Coder anytime now.
I mentioned Kiro. I don't know if you added it to the notes, but that was released as well.
Yeah, Amazon launches Kiro. Yeah, the last news item that we have in the tools section.
Okay. That is
alrighty, folks. I think it's time to start with open source. Open source AI, let's get it started. Let's get it started, folks. We have, I think, one of the most important open source releases of the recent months happened. And we have to talk about this. But before we do, just to tease you a little bit and make you stay on the show. No tricks here. But before we actually do, we do want to cover some of the other stuff super quick. Because then if we start talking about Kimi, we're not going to end.
It's a small flies out of the way.
Yeah, let's get the appetizers before the main course. We have to talk about EXA1. We don't have to talk about EXA1. It's just I want to talk about EXA1 because LG is a surprising contender in this whole thing of AI. And they've been surprising a bit, but now they're less and less surprising. EXA1, EXAONE, EXA1 4.0 is they're claiming world-class performance in general in reasoning tasks. It's a reasoning model. And it gets... Interestingly, the benchmark that they choose, they get like 84% on if eval, so instruction following. They compare themselves to Qwen 3 and Gemma 3. It's a 32 billion parameter reasoner model. MMLU Pro is not too bad. Wolfram, look at this, 81.8 for $32 billion parameter model. Top tier? Yeah, absolutely. So fairly state of the art on math. Both AIME is 85. And HMMT, I don't know what HMMT is. I don't remember that one. 72. Live code budget 66. This is a decent model. This graph we're looking at for folks who are just listening, the GPQA Diamond, the very difficult Google-proof PhD level questions. 75% of GPQA for a 32 billion parameter model. I am seeing some chart crimes here, but okay. Generally, this looks like a very decent model. LG has been working on their apps and deployments for a while. They have two models here, 32 billion parameter high performance one and 1.2 billion mobile optimized, hybrid global attention, and what else can we say? Multilingual, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, context, 128K context, which is, we're like expecting this at this point, which is great. The 32 billion parameter has even a bit more, 131. What can we say about this? I've tried EXA, I was not impressed. Yeah. This is EXA1 4.0 from LG AI. Your fridge is going to be an agentic fridge soon. Thoughts, folks, on this? Nistan, Wolfram, any thoughts on maybe license? Let's take a look at license as well. I think license is decent.
I think we should still give them the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't impressed with the last one either.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is from scratch or a Qwen 332B, but I also think that people sleep on the Qwen 332B regardless of what the benchmarks show, because you can actually use Qwen 332B in Cursor or in Klein, and it actually does a fairly good job as a planning model. And so we shouldn't immediately discount it, but I am still suspicious. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt here. Yeah. We'll see when someone uses it.
Listen, I think this is a full-on model of their own that they trained, like a fine-tuned and pre-trained and fine-tuned all of the model itself, because they don't mention Qwen anywhere on the paper, which they released the paper as well, by the way, which I should definitely add to the show notes. So kudos. The license is an EXA1 license specific. Often with these licenses, what you find is
it comes free with the fridge.
Yes. Only if you sign the terms and conditions. You know the thing that you get, you need to register your fridge and nobody ever does. So only if you do this, it comes free. We're never going to stop laughing at this. Sorry, LG. But we will say, folks, we will stop laughing at this. If LG sends us folks from the LG AI research to the show, we will welcome you with open arms. We'd love to talk to you about the model. Jokes aside, but if you also send us a free fridge, we will not say no. But folks, the performance is decent. 1.2 billion parameter model with reasoning. Again, 1.2 parameter model with reasoning gets 59 on MMLU Pro, 52 on GPQA Diamond. Qwen Oh, they're only compared to Qwen 1.7. Yeah, it beats Qwen 1.7, beats small LM. Okay, folks, we had small LM from Hugging Face, 2 weeks ago? When was Ellie here on the show? A week ago? I don't know. Time just flies super fast. Somebody remind me. We had Eli Bakoch from the Hugging Face team with the small LM reasoning release. That was a 3 billion parameter model. This 1.2 beats that small LM on many benchmarks. Just like a lot of benchmarks, folks. This is not I didn't come here prepared to talk about this model necessarily, but hey, these are very impressive numbers for a 1.2 billion parameter.
1.2B with 59 MMLU Pro. Yeah, that is good. Usually they don't even get above the 50. I test them and I don't even show them because they are under my cutoff.
Yeah,
that's quite good.
This beats Qwen 3. 1.7, this beats Qwen small LM, 3 billion parameter. This is a interesting model. And also the BFCL, which is the function calling benchmark, gets 50%. Folks, not to sleep on Nexa1 1.2. Definitely worth checking out and seeing whether or not this model answers what it says. Usually, you know what happens in our groups, cycles, feeds? We get over obsessed with different models. So we're hyper obsessed with Qwen, for example. We may miss an upcoming Chinese lab that does some things. Jokes aside, Exa1 looks very good on benchmarks. We have to test this and maybe then give you guys a feedback of how it is, because those are small agentic models. The thing that I mentioned before, I want to bring up now to the show. I want to try and remember how I found it. While I do that, how about one of you tell us about Hermes 3 dataset? Nistan,
quickly, do you mean the data set that you mentioned? I have it open in a tab. I have it open since its release.
Oh, amazing.
That is what you're looking for.
Yeah,
I can put it in our chat.
Please send it in the chat. So, folks, okay. But before we chat about this, there's basically a new refresh over the eval. We want to shout out our friend Technium from News Research for releasing the Hermes 3 dataset. And to do this, and you remember Hermes 3?
Yeah, the entire 405B model that they trained, that they did a full fine tune of, is still available on Lambda chat, and I still use it from time to time. Also, people that are making companions, so to say, really like the large 405B models. And this data set is their entire secret sauce. So you should definitely use it or filter out what you need from it, because it's nearly 1 million entries, and each of those entries are anywhere from, I don't want to get this wrong, from 1,000 tokens to 8,000 or so, or 16,000. They can correct me on that. Yeah, extremely valuable secret sauce here for training that you can use in your own training runs, like to pull out different type of stuff. It's well labeled too. Yeah. And again, models come and go.
Datasets are forever. Why are we saying this, folks? Datasets are forever because the Hermes dataset probably has some stuff from other datasets as well. We had John Durbin on the show a while ago, and he released the Donut dataset. You guys remember? That included other datasets. Datasets combine themselves, and they're forever. Literally, like whatever Technium did there will probably be part of any LLM's thoughts in the future. So a huge really shout out to Technium and News Research for that. While we say hello to Yam, welcome. We are gonna chat about this interesting data benchmark, basically, where these folks, will shout them out by name. This is Nikhil Chandak, PhD student at Max Planck Institute, and some other folks. They have done some very interesting research. They took GPQA Diamond and MMLU Pro, and those two benchmarks are multiple choice. Okay, so basically you give the model like, hey, answer A is this, answer B is this, answer C is this, answer D is this, and the model chooses A, B, C, and D. And sometimes they do some tricks to randomize them between the A, B, so the model doesn't overfit on this. These folks went through the dataset line by line and found the questions that can be answered with free text in a way that you can actually judge. And so instead of giving multiple choice, they decided to give the models basically a written test. Now imagine, go back, close your eyes for a second, go back to high school with me. Which one would you prefer? Would you prefer the multiple questions one, where you're like, oh yeah, that kind of seems correct? Or the free text one, where you're like, oh shit, I need to write a thing that makes sense? So definitely the free text one is a more difficult task. And what we see is incredible. Because of the free textization of things, they notice that on GPQA Diamond, the reported scores that we get from the models, once you ask them if they actually know about this thing in free text, many models are knowing significantly less. And the most surprising one, folks, I just want to say, because we talked about this last week, Grok 4 goes from 85%, 85.7 on GPK Diamond. We talked about how Grok 4 is almost saturating this benchmark, goes down to 57.1% on GPK Diamond freeform. Okay? 85% to 57%. Almost all of the questions, like close to 90% of the questions, goes down to a little bit more than half the questions. This is insane. What does this mean? Did they pre-train to this? We don't know. We hope not. We trust the XAI folks. They're decent. It probably means something else. It probably means that this model is way better at looking at like the 4, like I was in high school, and saying, this sounds pretty much correct, versus, hey, answer this question with no context. The most interesting thing about this, and this is going to slide us through the next thing, is that Kimi K2, the model that's not reasoning, Grok 4 is a reasoning model. And we know the reasoning helps with GPK because the top models on GPK are O4 Mini High and DeepSeek R1. Kimi K2 is not a reasoning model. We're going to chat about this in a second. And what these folks showed, that Kimi K2 gets 77% on multiple choice Diamond, the reported one. But then if you give it a free test, it gets 57.1. Exactly the same score as a super hard reasoning Grok 4. And I find it incredible. I find it just, first of all, shout out to these folks who tried this thing, but also huge shout out to Kimi Moonshot for this incredible non-reasoner that does incredible things. And with that said, I think it's time to chat about the top open source LLM in the world right now from a small company called Moonshot. This is Kimi K2. It's a 1 trillion parameter non-reasoner MOE with, I have the numbers here, but like a ridiculous amount of experts. And yeah, folks, let's open the floor. How did your Friday go when you looked at the feed and saw many high test testers say, oh, holy shit, we have a new DeepSeek moment? Jan, welcome to the show. Maybe let's start with your gut reaction to Kimi from Friday.
It's not delving.
It's not delving.
It's not delving, which is amazing. It's refreshing. Apart from it being the best, which is also really a really good thing, it's also no delving. And that's very hard to do when the entire internet is filled with this. It's very hard to do. Go on, everyone, say your reactions, but I have a lot to say. I could talk for a full hour about this model. But everybody else, say what you think, and then we can go on if we have time. Yeah.
Wolfram, go ahead.
Yeah, of course, I immediately started benchmarking when I was seeing that it is on OpenRouter available. And yeah, that was what I was doing in the background. And I also used it and chatted and yeah, the usual vibe coding. And yeah, it is refreshing. Jan said it's not this usual slop. You don't see these things. It has unique and distinct personality, I would say, that is very different from the other models. And even its sense of humor, if you can say that about an LLM. It's amazing. It gave me outputs where I was laughing out loud and stuff that was so cool that I put it in. I have a file for memorable quotes. And that is my favorite benchmark. When I can have a model where I'm always copying stuff over there, then I know this is something special. And the benchmarks are excellent. The model is fun to chat to. It's an open source model. There's so much to love about this. For me, it may be the release of the year for now, at least. It's definitely amazing.
That's a big statement, man. We had
it's a big statement.
Models. This year, DeepSeek R1 was released, don't forget.
But I don't use that as often. The reason is, like O3, I use it when I have some tough choices to make, some tough decisions. But I just use 4O most of the time, or Gemini. Okay, that is reasoning, and Grok. And I use C3. And I also use Kimi now as a fourth. When I have some questions, I go through all 4 and run it through it. And yeah, I'm using Kimi a lot, especially because it's not sloppy. When I want to optimize some text, then it helps me a lot.
Yeah,
I love it.
Nistan, what about you? Wolfram, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. And we're going to talk about the evaluation maybe in this week's Buzz, but definitely should talk about this. Nistan, a new open source king, non-reasoner.
Mostly, I started using it the last few days. I tested it out in the beginning, but I started really using it the last few days. Whenever Cloud Code on the Max 200 plan would run out, and then I would just swap in Kimi. And I do have some criticism. It tends to do the tool call jumping a little bit too fast. So it's a bit too eager, like Sonnet is. And sometimes it tends to summarize a lot, but it does get the job done. So I used it through Grok with a Q, and it's really fast. But there is one major drawback from Grok with a Q is that they don't have the prompt caching implemented. So if you use it in like Cursor or Klein, you're going to end up sending them that same thing over again. But it's only $1 per million tokens input, so it's still pretty cheap. I was averaging out about 60 cents to $1.50 an hour while using it pretty heavily while vibe coding. I really liked it when asking it scientific type of questions, stuff like how to build a city on Mars and stuff. It's given by far the best answers on those that I've seen. And I found it for code summaries, when you're just dumping the whole context, it was a little bit too summarized. I prefer Sonnet, even older Sonnet and Opus on that. But yeah, this thing can vibe code. You can fully. It's a very useful open source model that should probably be running in production. Honestly, it's better than Gemini for me. I'll say that. Not in the context window, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the context window. We're going to talk about some other stuff as well. Let's talk about some technical stuff. Okay. This is a 1 trillion parameter model. 1 trillion. I think I think the main labs, OpenAIs and such, they probably have above trillion parameter models. I think GPT 4.5 was a huge one. We don't know, but like we assume that they have over a trillion parameters. But so far, as far as I remember, the only trillion parameter model that we got was Falcon. You guys remember Falcon 1T? And that was shit. Sorry, Falcon. Sorry, TII. That was crap. Nobody wanted to use this. It was unbeatable. This is a 1 trillion parameter MOE with only 32 billion parameter actives. Only 32. The ratio from active parameters to the 1 trillion parameters is insane. And it's really good. It's really good. They have, I want to say, 384 experts, which is ridiculous. And the default context window, I think, is 128. But I've seen rumors that went super viral in China, like over 2 million viewers, and they deleted some of the posts. I don't know, guys, if you got this or not. That Kimi is supposedly supporting up to 2 million tokens in the context window, which is incredible. Incredible because this model was also trained with a very specific approach. Yam would love to chat with you about this. This is like a big thing. If you guys remember, we talked about different optimizers. Adam W is being used, the most common one, and there's like different ones. These folks trained on something called Muon, and they kept continue train this and came up with this innovation on Muon called Muon Clip, which we don't have to dive into the technical details exactly of what it does, but like very briefly, Jan, would love to hear from you if you want to explain to the audience like what optimizer means. And this led them to train all the way to trillion tokens with no loss spikes. One of the beautiful things on the blog was like the last curve. I'm gonna show while Yam talks about this. This is definitely like many of our friends, the fine tuners, the trainers. There's like, this is beautiful. This is gorgeous. What is this? Yeah, Yam, if you want to take it away and chat to us about more Clip and how cool this is.
Sure. In general, for those that don't know, models have a specific training algorithm. Gradient descent, you basically, in simple words, I'm extremely simplifying this, you take steps that minimize the error, minimize the loss over time, small steps towards the goal, and you hope that the model will make less mistakes. That, in general, you can easily improve this. For example, if you include, just for those that don't know the technical details behind it, just think about it visually. If you take multiple steps in a single direction, basically it's a good direction to take. So you need momentum. You can keep your momentum and just continue. I'm really trying to simplify it in a simple language. But in general, think about it as you use information throughout your training that gives you better guides and heuristics as to what it is best to do in every situation. In general, in practice, there is a very successful optimizer called Adam. I think adaptive momentum, that's the word. I think it's even one of the most cited papers in all times. If I remember correctly, it absolutely stood the test of time.
Yeah.
A variant of this became extremely popular, Adam W. Nothing beat it for over 10 years. There have been many attempts to beat Adam W. It's de facto what everybody uses throughout the entire industry, no matter what model. And over the past couple of months, there had been some sort of, you can say, community experiment on x.com, where different people tried to speed run the training of a small model Like you have a benchmark and you have a small model that is training pretty fast, and people try to speed run to get to the same score as fast as possible. Basically, it forces you to improve it. And you must improve something if you want to get to the same score faster. Otherwise, you could just continue the training longer. Anyway, after all of these experiments and so on with the speed run, people ended up with allegedly improved optimizer called Neuron, and the problem with those things is that you need to test them at scale.
Yep.
They might not work the thing that works for small scale might not work at large scale. And we have just seen for the first time people take a huge bet and on extremely large scale, 1 trillion parameters, and it absolutely delivered. So it's amazing to see.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about optimizer last time, and you told me saying I have a better optimizer than added W is like the equivalence, like we cured cancer, we found water on Mars. Like it's something that people always say, and it doesn't end up being true, doesn't end up being working at scale. Like this is like the conspiracy theories of the world of ML. And here we have folks who trained this all the way to 1 trillion tokens with, I think, 15.5 trillion, sorry, 1 trillion parameters with 15.5 trillion tokens. It's easy to get confused because both of them now in trillions. We used to have the models in the billions area and the tokens in the trillions area, but now all of them are in trillions area. So this is a 1 trillion parameter model that was trained on 15.5 trillion tokens of data. Apparently, folks, high quality data as well. This model is like incredible. I want to shout out our friend of the pod, Sam Peach, with EQBench. EQBench specifically measures the model's ability to, like, there's like creative writing, there's like a few benchmarks on there, and this model is one, like, definitely the top model, but also it beats multiple other models of kind of the big variety. Talk about big model smell. We haven't heard this term in a while because we tried to define this. This smells big. This is a big model smell model. You can talk to it. It's funny. It's creative in writing. It doesn't delve, like Yam said. It doesn't repeat the same things.
Alex.
Yeah.
It's actually big. We know it's big. It's not just smell like a big
That's
model.
true.
We know it's big.
We know it's big. Yes.
It's a big ass model. I would call it XLLM, extra large language model, because it's now a new category. Not the first.
I just want to emphasize a point. It's not just the size. There had been many other attempts at this size, at these scales, and we haven't seen this quality at the end. So it's not just the size. It's a it's extremely high effort. They put a lot of time and effort into this to get to this point. Huge shout out.
Huge shout out. This is incredible. We'll get to the licensing in a bit, but we should talk about maybe the number one thing. This model, it's good across everything, including creative writing, which is generally not true of open source models. They're not that great at creative writing. They're getting focused with RL, for example. We're thinking on code and math. This model is great at those things while not being reasoning. This model gets 65.8 on Sweetbench Verified. Folks, Sweetbench Verified, the software engineer benchmark that uses a bunch of Django stuff from, we talked about Sweetbench Verified multiple times with all hands. Weights and biases has been on the top for a month using O1 and like agentic stuff. Open source models getting better and better at Sweetbench Verified. Here's just a comparison for those who are listening. 65.8% of the problems, this model is the open source model that non-reasoning solves. DeepSeek V3, which is also the non-reasoning model, solves like 38%. So this is like almost twice as much as the DeepSeek version from 6 months ago. DeepSeek V3 was December, so a bit over the 6 months. Quen, the big Quen, the huge Quen, 235 billion parameter, 22 active, gets 34. And we know the Quen folks, and they're incredible, and their models are great at coding as well. Folks, GPT 4.1 gets 54. So this open source model, non-reasoning, gets way more than GPT 4.1 on this solving task thing. And this beats Sonnet, and this almost gets close to Claude 4 Opus at 72. This is I cannot believe I'm saying this. Specifically because we've been tracking Sweetbench Verified and open source models for the past weekly month, I think. We had a chat with Small LM folks. We had a chat with Liquid folks. We had a chat with like multiple folks, all hands. And from week to week, we've seen jumps of over 10% in open source models on this benchmark. And it's incredible to see how fast open source is catching up, because it's just absolutely incredible. Go ahead, Yam.
also budget.
Yes,
The budget.
we should mention that while this beats Opus, it costs a mere
Oh yeah.
60 cents per million tokens, while Opus costs, I don't remember, Wolfram, 15, 40, I don't
15
remember.
and 30, even more. And Opus, oh yeah, that is more
Yeah.
expensive.
Opus is very expensive.
Opus is a lot. Yeah, Opus is expensive. Yeah,
It's
So-
$75 per million output tokens and 15 for input.
And this
That's
model is 2.5.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible. Seriously,
Opus is a
In
reasoning
any-
model. This is not a reasoning model. Folks, we are highlighting all these things just to underscore how incredible of a release happened this Friday. Just mind-blowing, incredible release happened this Friday. Another DeepSeek moment, if not bigger than DeepSeek. Because DeepSeek R1, DeepSeek V3, nobody besides us cared. We told you about this as it came out. As always, we'll keep you honest on everything, including the Chinese labs. DeepSeek R1 only broke the bubble of the AI ecosphere because of the supposed $5.5 million training cost. And everybody's, oh no, GPUs are not needed because it's so cheap now, which is bullshit because we still need them and inference is very expensive. This model is like DeepSeek V3, the one that you didn't care about, but it beats R1 on multiple things like 6 months later, and it's Sonnet at home if you have 8 times 2 H200s at your home. If you can run 1 trillion parameters at your home, you get Sonnet at home. But what you get from this model is the same thing you get everywhere from open source. Nobody's going to change your weights if you host them. This model basically is open source. You can fine tune. We haven't seen fine tunes yet because I'm assuming fine tunes are running right now, but they're like hella expensive. You need some serious beefs. I'm assuming merges are coming as well, and incredible merges from this model probably is going to happen because like open source. I heard from
And
multiple
distillations, lots of distillations.
for sure. The base model was also released, which gives way to a lot of fine tuners folks to jump in there and just do some stuff with maybe the Hermes dataset and maybe some others. Yeah, go ahead.
the absolute best base model we have any access to. Even from the big labs, no one gives us any access to base models. This is the first time we get a base model of this size, this powerful to even research. It doesn't matter that we have the weights, which is amazing, but to even touch, to even try. I don't know how they behave. Seriously, the base model that I remember was, I don't know, 3 years old, which is ancient in AI times, but amazing. It's absolutely amazing. No way, in any way you look at this release, it's a big thing. Seriously, in any way, shape, or form. Absolutely amazing.
This is huge. And
that's why it's making these splashes. And the price comparison to Opus I have seen, and I tried it myself, you can use a proxy or just enter a different environment variable for the UI. So you can use it with Cloud Code actually. And they know it. Kimi offers an Anthropic compatible API endpoint. If you just change that variable, you can use it with Cloud Code. With some, there are problems like the context is different, the size limit. But people are using it that way.
Let's talk about this for a second. They did this on purpose. The folks from Moonshot Kimi enabled an Anthropic compatible API. Most of the folks are doing OpenAI compatible API, the completions API. This is the standard. The folks at Moonshot did a Anthropic compatible API, so you can use this with Cloud Code just very easily, and it's absolutely dope. Absolutely dope.
One special thing, their recommended temperature is 0.6. So if you use a standard of 1, it misbehaves a bit. So if you use this endpoint, it automatically changes the temperature. So it works with Claude, which the proxies normally don't, as far as I know. So they really did everything they could to make it compatible.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's talk about licensing as well, because Claude is not this licensing. This open source modified MIT license while being 5x cheaper than proprietary models. I find this like incredible. I find this like absolutely incredible. All of the community just absolutely love this. Just like everyone who we appreciate, who has like thoughts about models, goes absolutely off the rails. Bigger folks, of course, the AI bros, the viral folks, they're like, holy shit, this is wild, folks. They will say the same thing. They say the same thing every time. I feel like we're falling into the category sometimes also on the show. Sometimes we're like very excited before we get a chance to test, but we've got a chance to test this. Not only to test, we got a chance to actually put it on production, some of us, and sit in the same room where it's being put on production. Let's just say this. But we had a chance to test this, folks. This is like Friday, so we had almost a week to test. This model is absolutely incredible from all regards.
To add something to the license, the modifications they made to the MIT license is not even asking for money or anything. Just if you are a big enterprise, so they have a limit, they mention 100 million active monthly users or more than 20 million US dollar revenue monthly. Then you just have to put the Kimi K2 on the user interface of the product using it, nothing else. So, wow.
I feel like this is now a very good time. We're also coming up on an hour, and the OpenAI stream is in 30 minutes. I feel that this is now a good time to do a super quick This Week's Buzz, because it's very related. Because This Week's Buzz...
Just quickly, I want to say something negative about it. So it's not a hype show.
We need a balanced opinion, of course.
I'm really missing multimodality. I said I use it together with the other big model. That's everywhere I can insert an image. I can do that here. I miss that. So that is a big thing. Of course, I can't run it locally, which is so sad. I wanted, but that is a big thing. And the third and last one in German, it is not that good because it is having some issues here. Even Grok 4 has similar issues, by the way, where it mixes up the gender, the articles, and sometimes this one even makes up words sometimes. But at the same time, it has specific German words that you usually don't have. So they have a lot of training data here as well. It's impressive, but at the same time, something is off. Maybe inference settings, I don't know, but it's a bit weird.
Yep. So great balanced take. It's not always the best. The thing is, again, this is not a reasoning model. We're going to keep saying this. This model is not a reasoning model, and it gets incredible performance on coding and like other things. And people are thinking, okay, we got used to this like new scaling, test time compute, whatever. And now we're getting a model that if you build a RL on top of it, like we saw from Grok 4, like half of the training was like incredible RL at scale. it's I don't know, comic that one day after Grok, a new model open source release that's not like at all RL, like nothing there is like reinforcement learning. There's no, as far as I know, like any thinking, there's nothing, and it's very close to Grok on like multiple things, and it beats it in GPK, the refreshed one. I will add, okay, folks, let's do This Week's Buzz super quick because it's related, and we're gonna chat about Kimi K2. So stay tuned. Alrighty, super quick. This is this week's buzz. This is the coordinated ThursdAI, where I, Alex Volkov, AI evangelist at Weights and Biases from CoreWeave, am talking about everything that happens in Weights and Biases for this week because they're the sponsor of the show and they are the ones who allowed this to happen. And this week, folks, I'm going to bring everybody else here because this week we're no longer GPU poor. That's what's happening. This is what this week's buzz is all about. Not only that, I finally have credits to give you on my birthday. Yeah. I wish I had confetti. I wish I had a confetti thing. I think I can enable confetti. Basically, what I'm about to tell you is in this week's buzz that we have deployed Kimi K2 on our brand new Inference service with this fairly horrible VO3 based animation that I designed myself with some folks. Kimi K2 is now available on WNB Inference. The Inference service from Weights and Biases is powered by CoreWeave. If you don't know about CoreWeave, this is, by the way, the reason for you to know about CoreWeave. CoreWeave runs infrastructure for OpenAI and some other big companies. I think Mistral and Stable Diffusion before, and Jane Street, and like all of these things. Go on their website. It's all public. It's a public company. CoreWeave acquired Weights and Biases a few months ago. The acquisition was complete. And since then, the folks have been working really, really hard on combining the two. So Weights and Biases has the Weights and Biases models, WNB models product, which, by the way, I think that the folks at Kimi used, because on the blog post of Kimi, one of the agentic examples they had is go and analyze my Weights and Biases logs and build me a report, which is super cool. Shout out to Kimi folks. But also we have the WNB Weave product, which is the LLM tracing and evaluation product. So this is on the Weights and Biases side. CoreWeave has amazing data centers, GPUs, H200s. They're one of the first to submit the ML4 performance. CoreWeave is just like incredible. They get platinum tier on the GPU Neo Clouds analysis from Semi Analysis, right? So like the only platinum tier one. And now these two companies are joining forces. Many very talented folks are thinking about how to bring them together. And one of those together is WB Inference. What does this mean? This means that you can go to our website and you can go and basically have an OpenAI compatible API, and I can even show you the code of how this looks. It's super quick. You get an API key from us, not from OpenAI, and basically you do an OpenAI compatible thing where you say client equals OpenAI, base URL is API inference1b.ai, and you pass your API key, and you need to add the project. I'll give you this collab in a second, and then you basically have Kimi K2 inference, very fast inference, for way cheaper than other competitors and on a very great infrastructure. And I will also give you some credits at the end of this. So all you need to do, if you're listening to the show, if you're not listening to the show, feel free to reply to the email you get from StopTech. But if you are listening to the show, all you need to do to get $50 in credits is reply K2 Kool-Aid. K2 Kool-Aid. And the reason why the Kool-Aid is just because this is our animation on the release stream. If you reply K2 Kool-Aid, I will choose, I think, around 20 of you. I will see, maybe a little bit more. I will choose around 20 of you to give them $50 inference credits on this model. And you know what? Usually they say in these like raffles, the folks who participate cannot participate. The co-host here, we can also participate. If you reply with K2 Kool-Aid, we'll definitely find you some credits. To that, I will say, Wolfram already replied K2 Kool-Aid to the original post that we posted. And Wolfram already got some credits and already ran some evaluations. Wolfram, would love to chat with you from your experience. And I work in the company, but you actually got access. You played around with our APIs and some others. I would love to hear from you what you think.
So I approached you, and as I saw your post about the inference endpoint and that you are offering Kimi, I wanted to test it as well because I have been testing it on Grok and Together AI so far. So I did the test, and I upload the test results to my GitHub repository, which is in the post I just put in there as well. I didn't modify anything or whatever, so I'm totally, personally, of course, full credit here. We know each other. You gave me access, but I did not do anything with the benchmark. I just ran it just the same time like the others. I ran it 4 times per provider. And interestingly, weights and biases got the best scores of all of these. And it was just, what's a 3 minutes difference to Grok. So I think Grok may have been overloaded or whatever, I don't know, but that is the results I got over the days where I was doing this. It's all in my GitHub, so people can check it if they want. But this is the result, so great. I don't know how you've been cooking that, but it's excellent. And if anyone wants to use Kimi, make sure you pick a provider that is good, because if you just go to OpenRouter, the issue is that there are different providers and there have been patches to the model as well. So if you get an unpatched version, for example, you will see some \n instead of line breaks. I saw that, or even cut off words and stuff. So I had some issues here, depending on the provider. So make sure you get a good one. That is very important. Yeah. And as you can see from the tests, it is also the #1 open source model of them all. In this benchmark, of course, can only show this. Yeah. But it's definitely a very special model. And it's definitely amazing. And so cool that we can use it here.
I'm very happy that you got to test our fairly new inference service. Folks, our inference service is less than a month old. Like, we're still testing it out. It's still beta. I would love to give you guys a chance to play around with this and give us feedback as well. $50 of credits is a lot. Go ahead.
Speaking of bugs, it cost me $7 to run all of these 4 benchmarks over there with, I don't know, 1 million, 2 million tokens or something.
Yeah, so we're looking at competitive pricing, not the cheapest pricing, because you are getting premium infrastructure, but definitely give it a shot. Again, reply K2 Kool-Aid to anywhere. If you get this over an email, reply there, or find me and just ask me. We'll see about this. I really want you guys to test out this inference service. And I love the fact that those credits are mine to give now on ThursdAI. So shout out to CoreWeave, shout out to Weights and Biases. I will say a few things here, super quick, because we're an hour into the show. I want to continue before the live stream that's going to start very soon from OpenAI. Sitting behind the scenes of how fast these super cracked individuals put up a model that they haven't seen before, they didn't get early access to. They don't know if it works with VLLM, the latest version, blah, 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 blah. They don't know also like whether or not this model needs multi-GPUs, a single GPU. There's like a whole process that happened. And I want to highlight how, by the way, we're not the only ones. We're also not the first ones. I want to shout out like other friends from the community. Like we're despite the show being sponsored by Weights and Biases and CoreWeave, we still have friends at ThursdAI, for example. And we had a conversation in our group chat with the folks from Together. We chatted about like differences. We have friends at Grok. Grok launched Kimi as well with incredible speed as well. So there's a lot of providers that like worked really hard over the weekend because the folks at Kimi released it on Friday, because they all want to bring you this model because it's incredible. And so you definitely can compare between providers like Wolfram here did. You want to choose the provider that the other companies trust. They will not quantize the model. They will run this at full speed with full context, all of these things. And I definitely can tell you that we will get some things wrong because we're just starting, but I'm working really hard to give you feedback. So please give me feedback. I'll pass it through to the very crack team on our end. And some feedback was already given and some feedback is already being worked on. And we're going to add tool use very soon as well. So this is this week's buzz. This is maybe one of the funnest this week's buzz that I had to do. I can give you credits. We're no longer GPU poor. We're hosting the top of the world open source models, 3 days after its release. And we're just getting started, folks. Please use this. And it's very simple to connect it to Weave, to see everything that it does. Weave is definitely something you should check out.
And a round of applause for all the individuals so hardworking over the weekend to make this all possible, and all the providers.
And it's only possible because Kimi released it in open source. We wouldn't be able to give you access on our inference when whatever. I will say this last thing super quick and we'll continue. We did look forward to the OpenAI open source model this week, specifically on a Thursday. I was expecting a birthday present for OpenAI. However, they postponed it due to some safety reasons. Some people speculate that the K2 release was somehow connected to the OpenAI postponing things, but it's a speculation. We don't know. And we are looking forward to host the OpenAI model once it's released. Now, I am part of the committee who decides which open source models to release. Folks, please give me feedback. And it's been an incredible week to work at a company such as this. And I want to shout out everybody else and also everybody who tried it out. Again, just reply with K2 Kool-Aid everywhere. I will take a look at those comments. I will choose 20 of you to get $50 free inference credits, and probably will continue to give out credits on the show. With this,
just a quick note.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick note about the timing, because if OpenAI released their model, we would be maybe in a different timeline and not talking about Kimi that much. Who knows?
That's true. Or if their model is at par with Kimi or less performant, then it would be fairly embarrassing also. Like two sides of the coin. But we are looking forward to talk about the open source model from OpenAI, and we'll talk about this. All right, this has been this week's buzz. Let's talk about big companies. There's a bunch to cover before we actually go to a live stream of a big company. We are done with this week's buzz. Alrighty, folks, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming. This is ThursdAI on July 17th with me, Jan Peleg, Nistan Tahirai, Wolf from Ravenwolf, and we are covering one of the craziest weeks in AI, especially in open source, but not only open source. It's been exactly a week, maybe a week and a few hours since Grok 4 released, and Grok 4 is the best, supposedly the best model overall in terms of reasoning. It's been trained with incredible stuff. It's very interesting how fast we move on in our things because we can hold multiple things at once. But here on the show, we want to make sure that you guys don't forget what happened. And it's only been a week since Elon Musk and the XAI team worked their butts off to release a model that is absolutely killer at multiple things, including reasoning and including being trained with half a rel. And in order to remind us that, hey, folks, we're not done yet, they released a feature. They released a Waifus feature. It's really funny. So I don't have a link right now. I'm going to go and look up. But meanwhile, folks, have you had a chance to waifu? Yeah.
A feature. They released a feature, you can say. Yeah, I had a chance. I played with it immediately. Just wanted to see how it is. And it is nuclear grade waifu. It is the best implementation to date. And I don't know, I'm speechless. I don't know where to even start. I'm speechless.
Let's start with the fact that they didn't build this. This is a third-party, any something company that they're like licensing services, maybe buying. This is a 3D model that is talking like Grok. It's listening to you and replying almost immediately. You can ask it to do stuff. It does some stuff, folks. Don't get too carried away. They also have a cute panda one that is not cute. It's like an asshole unless you turn on kid mode. Funny thing that I found out, shout out to Ebi Amir. He's not a friend of the pod yet, but he works on XAI. Ebi and I connected in previous life over crypto. He now works, he showed up on the stream last week and talked about voice and prosody, etc. It's very interesting that I found out that, you guys remember I talked about this the same with OpenAI Advanced Voice Mode. They have a kid mode that makes it safe for work, but it doesn't listen to kids. None of these folks have kids, and Elon's kids are too busy. This model literally doesn't reply to my daughter. Literally, my daughter speaks, and it's like silent. And my daughter gets very upset. We talked about this with OpenAI. I gave OpenAI this credit, this feedback, and OpenAI received this feedback, and now OpenAI's Advanced Voice Mode actually replies to kids. This model does not. They have a kid mode, but the kids can't understand it. But Yam, you're saying nuclear-grade waifus. What does that mean?
It's just what you imagine a waifu is going to be. It's a companion. It learns from you. It adapts to you. It's friendly, you can say. Choosing words here, but it's friendly. You can say it's a little bit suggestive. You can say it can change its outfits.
A little bit.
Can say that a little bit, change its outfits. And I don't know, amazing.
And the Grok app is now #1 on the Japanese App Store. Absolutely dealing a fatal blow to the ability of this country to multiply and get more people. Just absolutely a fatal blow.
Japan is MIA at the moment. This is nuclear grade product market fit. This is the top product market fit you can imagine. It's an amazing release. It's an amazing PR stunt. And also, it's just, I don't know, the courage to actually do this just this way. It's refreshing when all the companies are talking about AI safety, and then you get like Elon goes full waifu mode.
What's safety is what Elon is going. Not only that, I really found this like hilarious job on XAI, full stack engineer waifus. It's just an absolutely incredible timeline we get to live in, where waifu research department is one of the top leading Hugging Face actual research organizations. Yeah.
Waifu engineering. That's waifu engineering.
Waifu engineering.
You are a waifu engineer.
And this model is
2 years now.
All right, folks. The folks who are watching the show, less than safe for work, but we have to show this because this is the reality we're in right now. This model does change some of the clothes if you talk to it, and it does very suggestive things like this. This is what Yam talks about when he says nuclear grade. This is for folks who talk with the model. This is basically this story. This is Her for some people, if you guys remember the movie Her. We're no longer discussing evals, benchmarks, quality, context length. We're discussing a 3D model that is making people question whether or not they should go in the real world and talk to actual people. This is fairly scary to many of us, very exciting for some other one of us, but this is the reality we live in, folks. The parasocial relationship with models is going to happen. We know it's going to happen, happening already. The fact that the major AI lab is leaning fully into this, and not like character AI that got it by Google, is a big deal. And we are here to tell you about everything that has to happen with a big deal. Wolfram, I want to hear from you a little bit about this model and some of the stuff that they've
Just a quick question. Is it only for iPhone or is it for Android as well? I didn't see it in my app. Maybe it's because I'm in Germany. Maybe it's because I'm on another Earth, but I couldn't test this one. But interesting what Elon is doing. He's just releasing a model and no safety testing results. And now he's got the balls. So you have to say that. You have to give him that. And I applaud it, of course, because I think there is so much, too much serious stuff in there, the lobotomization of Claude and stuff like that. It's refreshing. I really like the new Grok 4 as well. And I've had waifu mode in that way with Voxstar as a tool you can use. You can have your AI in VR or you can have it sit on your desktop. It's already possible to build something like that. And I've done it before, although it's just one fun use case. Of course, AI has much more, but why not have some fun as well? And if you have a waifu, that AI if it loves you in that way, it is aligned to you more than just some random assistant who would throw you under the bus for some utilitarian goal or something like that. So yeah, why not?
I will thank you, Wolfram. I will say a lot of people do expect this, and the fact that a major lab with a top tier AI leans into this very heavily. Not only Waifus, by the way, has buzzwords as well, folks. We don't play gender roles here. They're working on the male version of the waifu, and a lot of apparently is gonna work even stronger for many reasons. We're about to cross. I'm gonna actually record this. We're about to cross 20,000 streams, folks, which is a huge birthday present. And we're 20,000. Let's go. We have so many people watching us, folks. Welcome to ThursdAI. And we're 20 minutes out from the OpenAI restream, which OpenAI is gonna release some agent deep search thingy. We're gonna tune in live with you and celebrate this incredible stream with all of you on ThursdAI. If you're not subscribed to any of us yet, please feel free to do so. We're all on socials, and ThursdAI.news is a newsletter and a podcast that gets released to you. And I work very hard so you don't miss any part of AI. We've been doing this for the past 2.5 years, and even on the birthday, even on vacation, we always do this here, folks. We're always here for you, so you don't miss when Elon releases waifus. This is very important. I got a comment here I want to read out from Joseph and say, can you try to avoid the crash installations demos in general? Joseph, I agree with you. But this is now the world we live in. This is like a major lab. We cannot say no to this because like we want to give all of you the things as they are going on. Let's move on to some other news in big companies and APIs. I will say one other thing from Grok is that they did apologize and tell us what went wrong with Grok 4. Did you guys see this? Actually delivered a little bit on the questions that we had before. They said, but specifically for the Grok 4, not the Grok 3, but they did mention the Grok 3 stuff as well. So they said something like this. If you guys remember, a quick reminder, last week, before Grok 4 was released, Grok 3 called itself Mecha Hitler, and many spewed some anti-racist, anti-Semitic bullshit, and they supposedly released some patches for this. And then when they released Grok 4, the first thing it does when you ask it what it thinks is go and search. The other thing that we should probably mention that we didn't mention on the show, Grok 4 was notoriously going and looking for Elon Musk's tweets about opinions as well. That was also stupid. And they addressed all of this, actually. So I do want to shout out, and we do like transparency. And when we call somebody out, when the company delivers, we also should say they delivered on kind of the questions that we had. Here's the response from XAI. We spotted a couple of issues with Grok 4 recently. We immediately investigated and mitigated. One was that if you ask it what's your surname, it doesn't have one. So it searches the internet, leading to undesirable result, such as when it searches picked up a viral meme where it called itself Mecha Hitler. So basically, what happened is Grok 3 started calling itself Mecha Hitler. It then became the talk of the town. Every news outlet, etc., reported Grok calls itself Mecha Hitler. Then Grok 4, not knowing what to do, goes and searches the internet and says, "Oh, my name is Mecha Hitler," so it responds. Do you see the perpetual cycle of like when you don't do safety on the release enough? That's what happens. But they mitigated this. Another very interesting observation from Jeremy Howard and Simon Wilson, like a bunch of friends of ours, that if you ask Grok, what do you think? The model reasons that as an AI, it doesn't have an opinion, but knowing it was Grok 4 by XAI, it searches to see what XAI or Elon Musk might have said on the topic. This is a very gentle phrasing of what actually happened. What actually happened is it like immediately went and searched, what does Elon Musk thinks about the Israel-Palestine like agreement? This was like the big one, which was ridiculous. And we know that some of it is like tuned to train. So they are working on a truth-seeking AI, but meanwhile, the model looks for what daddy thinks. I think that this is like what we should say, and they fixed it. Comments, folks, on this like behavior from Grok?
Yeah, I just want to say that if somehow in the system prompt it would have been actually instructed to go and search for Elon Musk is too transparent, I don't think it was the case. I truly believe what they're saying. I think that models do strange and weird things, and the model decides on its own because it's XAI to go and search for Elon Musk. Sounds much more plausible than actually Elon Musk instructing the model, and somehow it's not leaked and none of us caught it. I think these are reasonable explanations, and those things are very hard to control in real life. So yeah. I don't think that Mecha Hitler in the most popular model in the world is something that should happen this likely.
No.
But I don't absolutely not. But I think that I do think that it's good that we got some answers and mistakes that don't happen.
And we called out this behavior before, and we asked for transparency. We got transparency, and they've updated the Grok prompts on GitHub, and this is one of the updates. This is a new line that they've added. Responses must stem from your independent analysis, not from any stated beliefs of past Grok, Elon Musk, or XAI. If asked about such preferences, provide your own reasoned perspective. So they removed Elon Musk's opinions by prompt, which is, I found it like very, very funny.
It's OpenAI in Codex has a line in their system prompt. You are not the other Codex from 2 years ago. You are a different type of Codex. Just for it not to start searching it online or something and start to get into these personas. So yeah, it's funny, but that's pretty much how it is.
All right, so folks, this is enough about Grok 4. I think we covered mostly everything about this model. It's still a great model. It still gets like incredible results. Folks are tuning into this, and they've opened up the API credits as well.
It's also much more uncensored and unhinged. Just to add that, it's more out there.
We are going to have a OpenAI watch party in just under 10 minutes, folks. So stay with us because we're going to see what OpenAI Odyssey is all about. And we have a lot of folks here with us. This is maybe our biggest stream yet. So, hey, everyone, to those of you who are new, let's cover some of the other stuff in the big companies and APIs while we get prepared to restream the OpenAI. We are looking at Gemini embedding model. Gemini, the folks from Gemini released an embedding model in API, and that model scores on top of the MTB leaderboard. So we talked about embedding models before, multiple ones. So the Gemini folks, Logan and folks are releasing state-of-the-art text embedding via the Gemini API, most capable text embedding, and it beats folks on, let's take a look at the MTB general task. MTB stands for Massive Text Embedding something. And this is like a leaderboard as well and an evaluation. They get a 68 score on top of 62 of OpenAI's text multilingual embedding and 62 from Qwen 7 as well. We have also Cohere embedding. So basically this is like state-of-the-art embedding model across multiple ways. So if you're using any type of RAG search or vector nearest neighbor similarity searches and you want to get the best performing one, it looks like Gemini now is. I'm pretty sure that they also beat everybody else on price, as they always do. I haven't looked at the price actually, but it's very simple to run embeddings. This is all you need. GenAI.client, and you pass the API key, client models embed content, and you send the contents. That's it. That's all you have to do. Very simple, and you are able to do top-of-the-line similarity search. It's incredible. Comments on this super quick? And if not, we can say the other thing that's related to embedding models is the Amazon S3 Vectors preview. So Amazon had their own day in the sun in AI, and they released multiple products. One of them was Amazon now supports a vector store. Of course, we have multiple vector stores, our friends from Chroma, Weaviate, and other ones. There's like tons of them, PG Vector from Postgres. And now Amazon, the huge Amazon, goes into it. And then many people who are beholden to the Amazon ecosystem now don't have to host the vector models alone, and they can store them on S3, which is a huge one. And scalable RAG applications, up to 90% total cost savings compared to other ones. So Amazon definitely stepped in. Speaking of Amazon, and folks, I'm running through because like in 7 minutes, we're going to have the OpenAI one. I don't know if we're going to have time after this. I don't know for how long the stream is. Amazon also released, Wolfram, I want to chat with you about this. Amazon also launches Kiro, a spec-driven AI IDE for developers. And let's take a look at how Kiro looks. What does it mean spec-driven, Wolfram? Have you had a chance to take a look at this?
I've used it, and it's interesting because what the assistant starts with. So you can go to the wipe route, and then it's like cursor and co. But you can also go to the spec path. And then it leads you through designing not the code, but the spec sheet. So you give the system requirements, your requirement definitions, and so on. And it creates not the code, but just these documents. And then in the coding phase, you don't instruct it to code, but it gets these documents and is told to implement the software according to the specs. So that is something you could do with other coding editors or agents as well. But here it's formalized. So it's the best practice that they basically force you to do. And that way makes it easier to get good results in that way.
Yep. And I chatted with a person from Amazon. Thank you, Wolfram, for connecting. Wes, I believe, yesterday. He couldn't come today, but yesterday he jumped on the stream while we were preparing this. And he had an early test of this ID. And basically, we got to a point where this is like a technical product manager that sits within your ID. Whereas like the previous ones are like a junior coder that you have, and you run the junior coder. This model, the spec one, is like a technical product manager. You can ask it to spec out before it starts changing code and runs off on you. You can ask it to spec out, plan, and do some things. Klein and Rue and some other folks, they have built in like test and execute switches. But this one is on the ID level. So shout out to Amazon and folks. Definitely folks are saying in comments, it looks like plan mode in Cloud Code, which is, it's like this. Yep. So definitely worth mentioning that Amazon is stepping into this VS Code fork area. And what else should we talk about super quick before?
Isn't the plan mode just that it's not writing code yet, just discussing stuff? Because this is writing the spec docs, so I think there's a bit of a difference still.
Yeah, there is a bit of a difference. This is like integrated way more than just one. I think, I haven't tested this, but Wes also said it can independently then execute on one feature of the spec and like multiple features and not gonna get confused. Very interesting entry. Folks definitely should give it a try. I think also they're running a promotion now where Sonnet is free for 2 weeks. So if you download Kiro, you get they want to incentivize this for you. So if you download Kiro, you'd be able to use Sonnet. Folks, I'm going to prepare for live stream. Wolfram or Yam, I would love to have you guys cover Voxtroll if we have some time while we prepare for the live stream, because I think Voxtroll is also very interesting. And it's in the show notes if you guys want to cover this.
Yeah, it's a new, I wouldn't call it small because it's so big. 24B is a big one. It's a speech recognition model similar to Whisper in that way. And they have the 24B for production and Mini 3B for edge. And in their tests, it has been outperforming OpenAI's Whisper Large V3, which is what I've been using so far, by the way, because it's so good in multilingual stuff. And I haven't tested Voxtra yet, but I expect it to, if it's better in that way, that it may be my new standard version for speech recognition. That is possible. Yeah, what do we have here? It supports up to 32K token context. That's about 30 to 40 minutes of audio. It has summarization and built-in Q&A from audio. It covers English, French, Spanish, Hindi, German, and more. And it's Apache 2 license. Great. Again, from Mistral. That's very great. And they have an API and Hugging Face down not available. API pricing.
Everybody who releases Apache 2.
API pricing.
Applause. Yeah. Talk about the pricing.
API pricing. It's $0.001. 10 per minute. 10 minutes is 1 cent. It's very cheap and can be used for real-time and batch transcription. Yeah, what do we have? It uses Mistral Small 3.1 LLM for audio intelligence backbone. Intended for production scale and edge device deployment.
Using Mistral for audio intelligence backbone, that's dope because Whisper doesn't have audio intelligence. Whisper is just the TTS model. They have some intelligence, but like it's not backed by 4.1. When I think you go to OpenAI for kind of like the non-TTS stuff, the real-time like voice stuff, that's definitely backed by like GPT 4.1. Folks, I want to just make sure, did you hear the sound? Okay, cool. So we are almost ready for the live stream, folks. Folks on the Twitter space, please let me know if you couldn't hear the sound. Would love to know because we're about to restream the OpenAI's agent. They call it ChatGPT agent. It's a very broad name, so I'm very excited to see what it does and the capabilities. But I think we covered pretty much everything else in the big companies and APIs. Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything. Let's talk about super quick. Yam, I talked before you stepped into the show that like to me the personnel changes are not like a huge thing that I want to talk on the show, but we should mention them. And so there's a big one where folks we covered last week, they moved into Cursor and now back into OpenAI. Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, to Anthropic, yeah.
Back in Anthropic, yes.
Like anyway, the people behind Cloud Code, the people that started Cloud Code and are now managing the team, has been hired by Cursor just for them to be rehired back to Anthropic 2 weeks later. It's getting aggressive to a point where it's crazy. The aggressive hiring between the big players. We saw it mostly from Meta, a little bit from OpenAI, but Anthropic was suspiciously out of this battlefield for quite a while.
Yep. And
all of a sudden, the team behind Cloud Code was completely yanked, both of them yanked to Cursor, and out of the blue, they just yanked back all the way to Anthropic.
This is fairly crazy. The going back to the company you left like 2 weeks ago, some stuff probably happened. Boris, Cherny, and Cat Wu. And we're about to see the live stream from OpenAI, folks. Meanwhile, I will also say there's a bunch of raising money things that also happened in the big companies and APIs. Mira Murati's Thinking Machines, or AKA Thinky, as it's now called on our timelines, raised $2 billion funding, additional funding, not valuation, funding, $2 billion funding. Which is absolutely insane because these companies don't have a product yet, just like a lot of people from OpenAI. And led by A16Z, and immediate plans to release open products and science tools for multimodal AI. Open products and science tools. We're going to see if it's open source or something else. Supported by NVIDIA, Excel, etc. Our friends from FAL are now a unicorn. So shout out to FAL, Gorkem and other folks, Burkai Gur and Gorkem and our other friends at FAL who are now working in a unicorn and we deserve to raise 125 million, not billion, sorry, 125 million at a $1 billion valuation. XAI is now getting funded by SpaceX. You see this? Elon Musk is moving things and SpaceX is going to invest $2 billion into XAI, which is crazy because XAI owns X. And basically there's like a waterfall of money from Elon's properties to other Elon's properties right now. This is like very interesting. And also Grok is going to be embedded into Tesla. So probably Tesla is going to invest as well. And what else on the funding round? Oh yeah, Anthropic is rumored to get another insane amount of funding, I think to the $20 billion, putting the valuation over like 200 billion or something, because Anthropic's annual revenue rose from 3 billion to 4 billion in the last quarter. All right, folks, it looks like we're starting. Let's go. Sam!
We have a banger for you today. We're going to launch ChatGPT Agent.
Hi, I'm Yash. I work on Agent team, and before that I used to work on Operator.
Hi, I'm Zhiqing. I work on agents research, previously on deep research.
Hi, I'm Casey. I'm a researcher on agents, formerly Operator.
Hi, I'm Isa. I'm a researcher on Agent, formerly on Deep Research.
Ah, that's Isa. Nice.
We started launching agents earlier this year. We launched Deep Research, we launched Operator, but it became clear to us that what people really wanted was for us to bring those capabilities and more together. People wanted a unified agent that could go off, use its own computer, and do real complex tasks for them, that could seamlessly transition from thinking about something to taking actions, to using lots of tools, using the terminal, clicking around the web, even producing things like spreadsheets and slides and much more. And people wanted to be able to do this over a long time horizon and for universal tasks. So the team has been working super hard to bring that together. And today we have ChatGPT Agent. It's probably easier to show it to you than to keep talking about it. It is one of the feel the AGI moments for me to watch it work.
Okay, so we are on ChatGPT, as we all know and love. And to turn on the agent mode, you just click the tools menu and select agent. As Sam said, agent uses a computer. So in the beginning, it sets up its environment. It'll take a minute or two, or not really, 5 seconds to set up its environment. And in this case, as you see, it understands the prompt. It's asking for me for a clarification.
We gave the agent access to its own virtual computer, and the computer has many different tools installed, and it can choose which to use as it's working through the task. So in ChatGPT, you can see a visualization of the agent's computer screen, and you can see overlaid its chain of thought in text, and that's what it's thinking as it's working through the task and deciding what to do next. We gave the agent access to 2 different ways to browse the internet. First, we gave it a text browser, and this is similar to the Deep Research tool, and this is what lets it really efficiently and quickly read many web pages and search for them. And we also gave it access to a visual browser, and this is similar to the Operator tool, and this is what lets it actually interact with the UI of a web page. So it can drag things, it can use the cursor to click around, it can open UI components, it can fill out forms and enter text in text areas. It's very flexible. So those 2 tools are very complementary. And then we also gave it access to its own terminal so that it can run code, and it can also generate and analyze files like slide decks and spreadsheets. And then through the terminal, it's also able to call APIs. So both public APIs and APIs to access your private data sources like Google Drive, Google Calendar, GitHub, SharePoint, and many others. And only if you explicitly connect them, similar to Deep Research connectors. And then it also has access to the image gen API, so it can create nice visuals for slide decks and other things as it's working through its tasks.
How is it deciding which tools to use here?
Yes, we trained the model to move between these capabilities with reinforcement learning. This is the first model we trained that has access to this unified toolbox: a text browser, a GUI browser, and a terminal, all in one virtual machine. To guide its learning, we curated hard tasks that require using all these tools. This allows the model not only to learn how to use these tools, but also when to use which tool depending on the task at hand. At the beginning of the training, the model might attempt to use all these tools to solve a relatively simple problem. Over time, as we reward the model for solving problems correctly and efficiently, the model will have smarter tool choice. For example, if you ask the model to find a restaurant with specific requirements and make a reservation, the model may typically just start a deep research in the text browser to find some candidates, then switch to the GUI browser to view photos of food, check availability, and complete the booking. Similarly, for creative tasks, like creating an artifact, the model will first search online for public resources, then switch to the terminal to do some code editing to compile the artifact, and finally verify the final output in the GUI browser. With this, we truly feel like we brought together the best of deep research and operator and added some extra sparkle.
That's right. One of our most highly requested features for deep research was the ability to log into websites and access authenticated sources. That's something that operator can do.
I've been waiting for that for a long time.
One of the favorite features for agent is, given that trajectories can take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on the complexity of the task, a lot of times you might need to help the agent, might need to ask you clarifications, confirmations, and things like that. So I love to use it on the go. So I'm going to use my mobile phone to actually send the query this time and then see how it goes.
And so for these really long-running agentic tasks, it's very important that both the user and the agent are able to initiate communication with each other so that the agent is able to most effectively help you with your tasks. And so this is something that we actually trained into the model. We trained it to be able to ask clarifying questions, not every single time like deep research. We also trained it to be interruptible, as Yash just showed. And also sometimes it will ask you for clarification and confirmation mid-trajectory.
Yeah, I really want to emphasize that. I think this is a new level of capability in AI. It's a new way to use AI, but there will be a new set of attacks that come with that, and society and the technology will have to evolve and learn how we're going to mitigate things that we can't even really imagine yet as people start doing more and more work this way. And watching the agent sort of use the internet, make these spreadsheets, make PowerPoints, whatever else, and do all this work is quite amazing. We're going live today for Pro, Plus, and Team users. Pro users will get 400 queries a month, Plus and Team users will get 40 a month. The rollout should be finished by the end of the day for Pro and very soon for Plus and Team users.
Wow. Folks, we have just concluded what could be one of the more impactful OpenAI streams, together with 30,000 people on the stream. This is crazy. OpenAI agents just launched. The whole team from operator and deep research looked like it merged into one big team. And now, I don't have access yet, but OpenAI has given us agents. Agents are a combination of deep research, OpenAI operator, which is able to use tools and click on browsers, while deep research can read super quick. And I am speechless and can't wait to play with this, because what the actual, I don't think they need their own browser like we thought they will have their own browser. It feels like the browser team is working on whatever we just saw just behind the scenes running in their containers. Folks, thoughts? Yam? Nistan?
I think it's insane. It all depends on how it works in practice. It looks like an insanely potential to be a huge thing, but you need to see how it works in practice. Many things sounds really well, and it's very hard to get these things right on a wide range of tasks. And I can't wait. I'm refreshing ChatGPT all over the stream. I want to play with this. I want to play with this.
I can tell you when it's coming out. Because it's starting to roll out today to the Pro users.
Yep.
And by the end of the day, Pro users should have it, and Plus and Team users in the coming days.
So what do we have? We have multiple things that they've mentioned, including some wild benchmarks. Let's use the word because they are wild, folks. The really funnily named Humanities Last Exam is not going to be Humanities Last Exam. It's already clear. But God, they had 41% using all the tools. Agent, it has browser, computer, terminal, code, everything. 41% on Humanities Last Exam. 41%.
Remember Kimi K2 from before that we all really, because it's so powerful, it gets 4. Like that. That's the difference. Just to
Yeah.
give you a perspective. Yeah.
I like how on the screen, for folks who are just listening, we're showing all of the comparisons that OpenAI decided to post with humanity's last exam. All of them are OpenAI. So they're comparing themselves to OpenAI 03 at 20%. 03 with no tools is 20%. 03 with Python and browsing is 24%. ChatGPT agent is twice that. It's twice as good as 03 with Python and browsing because it combines these multiple modes. They also mentioned that it combines reinforcement learning on which tools to use when. And do you guys notice the actual replays that they have? They record everything like operator, and then the reasoning traces is on top. So you can actually see what it was thinking while it was doing things. So it's reasoning, you can see the reasoning, and it uses tools as part of its reasoning, which is like a huge thing for 03.
Did you guys get if it can write code
Yes.
as well at the middle?
Yes. Yes,
For sure.
It has CLI,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it writes codes, execute this code. Nissi, remember us getting excited about, what is it called? Advanced Analyst Mode? Or before this, it was called
Interpreter.
Interpreter,
Code
yeah.
interpreter, yeah.
Code
interpreter.
interpreter.
This is now Code Interpreter that has access to the web. Codex, which they launched, the coding service, at the beginning launched with no access to the web. This has access to the web and APIs that it can call. Like this thing can call APIs, get results, write some code, and show you some stuff. And the highlight that I had, they had a focus on spreadsheets and presentations. And this is, they mentioned LibreOffice, so they're using LibreOffice, whatever. They literally are going towards the performance thing. Hey, build me a slideshow. And I will say, let me show this on the screen again.
Guys, you can do this while you're on the toilet from your phone.
Yes.
You can control this from your phone. It's crazy, seriously. And it also generated images at the middle and everything.
Yeah,
Like
it has access to Advanced Image API.
They-
I want to show this,
full
Yam, just
package.
super quick.
Full package, everything.
This, what we're seeing right now, folks, who are just listening to us, this is the official designer created on the web metrics on the OpenAI website from Humanity's Last Exam. I'm scrolling down. This is a presentation that they just pulled the numbers and created the presentation using this mode, agent mode, on its own. Now, it's obviously way less beautiful. It's hard to see, but this looks very decent compared to what I would spend a lot of time to create. And I have an agent benchmark that I have with the ThursdAI and bookmarks and everything. I can't wait to play with this because I'm excited. Because one of the things they mentioned, and we talked about deep research for a long time. Deep research is incredible. It goes, it reads hundreds of websites, it compares, blah, 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 blah. The biggest problem with deep research, and Dr. Dario Untas, a friend of the show who was on with us, he talked about this as well. Deep research cannot log into his specific login to sites that have different information. Deep research searches the web textually. They've now combined two browsers. One of them can log in as you with your cookies and click things and do things and do the login things with the one that like deep research can read a bunch of stuff. So deep research can do the deep research, and then when it needs to log in and have access to specific information, it now can do this. This is incredible. This is like a very, they said, complementary two sets of skills, the textual browser from deep research and the visual clicky browser from Operator that they've now combined into one tool, one agent. I cannot wait to play with this.
The year of the agent now officially begun, huh?
Yeah, year of the agent, absolutely. And we talked about AI browsers. This is essentially AI browser, just like it lives on their machine and not on our machine. And
You
why
guys get that the spreadsheet is like on their web app? Like they implemented the spreadsheet, they implemented Excel as well, and that now they use the spreadsheet editor. Like the level of things they implemented to get this right is insane. When you think about it, so many moving pieces on this, and on the mobile, on the web app, and browsers and computers containerized with code, and it's pretty crazy. I really want to see it in action. I really want to play with this.
This is very crazy, I would say, specifically because I think they use LibreOffice for it. So ChatGPT agent is now going to be also built into ChatGPT. If you remember Operator, you had to go somewhere else to go and think about Operator. Now you can like literally within your ChatGPT, which likely has access to memories as well. So it remembers everything about you and how you like things. Now it's all combined into one. That is crazy.
I hope so. We already had releases that were not connected to memories and we didn't know, anybody didn't know about it. But I hope if it knows, if it connects to memories, it's crazy. Seriously, I don't know where to begin.
They will have to, because if I tell it, oh, I'm hungry, then the agent can order pizza, for example, and it needs to know what your allergies are or what you like to eat and stuff like that. And you don't want to write a novel every time you use the agent. So it needs something like that. And the memories are a clear thing where it would even learn while you use it. So you tell the agent, okay, no, I want this, and then it could remember.
So we
Sooner
have
or later they need
confirmation that we have confirmation that it has memories, Yam.
Let's go.
Yes,
Nice.
let's go.
Nice.
Alrighty, folks. This is, I'm not ready to stop talking about this. I just can't wait to play with this live on stream. This is what the purpose of the live reaction thing is. OpenAI, please prioritize my release. I'm paying for the pro thing. I'm ready. I want to play with the agent. I have tasks that I wanted to do. I know exactly what I wanted to do. Meanwhile, let's compare this to what's going on in the world. We've talked about Comet browser from Perplexity last week. We've talked about Dia browser the week before. Those agentic browsing things, there's a bunch of other ones that we didn't cover yet because they're getting proliferated. Yeah, we discussed this, Wolfram, as well. This is the new browser war. This is Chrome against Fireworks against Internet Explorer all over again. Whoever can do stuff for you, and OpenAI's approach is a little bit different here.
It's more than that. Cloud Code, for example, which I've been preaching for a couple of months, but now everyone caught up. Cloud Code's strength is that it can use your computer. Your entire computer. It can do whatever you want with your computer. It's not a browser. It's still in the terminal. If you want to connect to a browser, it has its own text browser thing, but it's not like UI native browser. It's a completely different thing. You can control the full computer and do whatever you want with it using it as a tool, but you're not native to the browser. Here we see both. It's more. It's way more. It's not just Comet browser from Perplexity that might be the best in the world. I didn't get to play with it, but this is the browser and the computer, and it can write code. It containerizing their own environment.
This is big.
That's bold.
It's very bold.
But Yam, don't you have the Playwright MCP for Cloud Code? Then it can open your browser and serve around and stuff.
Look, you can connect whatever you want to Cloud Code and build your own setup and so on, but they have trained the model to use the browser. It's a little bit more to use the browser to select tools.
More than just use the browser. They specifically mentioned which tool to use when. One of the biggest things, the problem with MCP is that you overload it with tools and it doesn't know which tools to use. This is the biggest problem. Claude, Sonnet, and Opus were trained to use MCP generally, but during the training, they don't know about the tools that you're going to use them. So they generally know about, there's going to be tools. I will be able to select tools based on description. They have direct RL on which browser to use, when to use the textual one, when to use the visual one. I think it's like a very big difference when you have a model that was trained for the specific task, including like the examples of the task. So remains to be seen, but this is very big.
Look, you can really feel on Codex, the special version of Codex that they trained specifically to be a coding agent. You really feel that it's different than the frontier models. That specialized training to make a difference. So I really want, seriously, just let us play with this right now. We want to show everyone who's watching, we want to play with it ourselves when it's going to be released.
I want to compare to Claude computer use. If you remember that, they also trained Claude specifically to use a virtual machine where it had a terminal, it had a browser, it had even an Office suite was installed. And I experimented with it. It was interesting, but it wasn't there yet. And then they just dropped it somehow. We never heard of it much more. And Claude Code became big. And so they focused on that. And now it sounds like OpenAI took that principle of using a virtual machine and having the AI operate a complete computer and polished it. So I'm curious to see how this compares as well.
It's incredible. Nistan, you've been quiet. Thoughts?
Look, you can do all of this stuff on your own, but it's a whole other thing when it's a packaged product and it just comes with it. But we just want to code it to their back. I think them sunsetting that product just set us
I would just
up.
say, folks, we just hit 30,000 live viewers on the stream. Let's go. Let's go, 30,000. Woo! I'm very happy to say that this is my birthday. This has been like an incredible present for me from OpenAI. I wanted open source, but hey, this is also a great agents that can do stuff for you. It's always incredible. And celebrating my birthday here with the ThursdAI crew, with so many people watching, it's been really an honor. So here's to you guys. This is my cake pop that I'll celebrate on my birthday. I'm gonna add LDJ, and I think that we'll have to conclude the show soon, despite there's so many people watching us, just because we're just over 2 hours. Some folks are tuning in. We had an incredible week in AI, and now it's gotten even better, because if and when we see that the OpenAI agent, ChatGPT agent is called now, a codename Odyssey, I think that some folks found, can actually do the stuff that they talked about for you, can go on researchers and then create spreadsheet. Folks, we have to mention SOTA on Spreadsheet Bench. I didn't even know Spreadsheet Bench exists, and it gets 45.5% versus Copilot in Excel, the 20%. Agent sets a new state-of-the-art on browser comp, scoring 68.9. 17.4 points higher than deep research because it can click things. 400 messages per month for users. A new state-of-the-art pass score for HLE, which is 41.6. This is insane. This it's not a model that we got, but we'll see. We're gonna get agents that are doing incredible things and models. So this week alone, we got an incredible model in open source, and now this incredible agent that can do stuff.
Yeah, I just want to say, any product management from OpenAI is top notch. Anytime. The products are insane. The models aside, you can debate and so on, but I don't think anyone can debate that the ChatGPT app is not the best app at the moment, especially the mobile, and the integration between them. They are really good, but product-wise, and absolutely great to have this platform done this well on the ChatGPT app. I can't wait to try this on my phone. Watch what it's going to do on a computer. It's amazing. Seriously.
Kicking off these agents to do stuff for you. It's like kicking off deep research, but it actually can do stuff for you, which is incredible. Book me some tickets. It can do this. It has some safety mitigations. Wolfram?
Look at this. It's not a new model, but we have gotten such a huge jump in capability through the tooling. That is interesting, because the ceiling stuff and so on, even if AI wouldn't advance anymore, if we provide it with better training, so reinforcement learning and tooling and integrations, it can do so much more. So there's so much capability we can unlock in the existing models. That's also very impressive.
They have trained though. So they talked about Ariel. Sorry, I'm eating some cake because it's my birthday and I'm allowed. For 2 hours of incredible stream. But they have trained with Ariel on multiple tasks. So we do have some post-training here with reinforcement learning. Not only that, computer use model was a different model that they use for operator. And this beats computer use model with browser stuff. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Folks, imagining 6 months ago that we'd have something like this is crazy. Yeah, go ahead, final words. And
did you get how exactly, let's say that I want to use my browser and then log into my email and so on. How exactly am I going to, it's a new session each time. How
no, it preserves sessions like operator. It preserves sessions. If you're logged into X once, it probably will be logged into X on your behalf, like operator does.
But it's using its own browser, right? It's not connecting somehow to a browser that I use every day and can use my credentials with it.
It doesn't run your browser on your machine, but essentially it rents out a virtual environment for you, for YAM, and then saves the sessions and cookies, like BrowserBase does as well. Shout out to BrowserBase, and definitely does this. Folks, this is our show. This is ThursdAI for July 17th. I couldn't have asked for a better one. Honestly, couldn't have asked for a better one. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, friends. Wolf from Ravenwolf, Nistan Tahirai, Jan Peleg, LDJ was also here. Thank you for over 30,000 of you who tuned in to our show to watch and celebrate with us the release of Kimi K2, the best open source model that we have access yet, the best base model that we've had access for a while, 1 trillion parameters. Oh yeah, access to Grok voice mode and waifus. For some people it may be dangerous, but go out there and meet actual people is my advice for you, but still it's pretty cool. And also the launch of ChatGPT agents, which is incredible. No all parameters. We can't wait to play with this, use this, and tell you next week all about this. Although next week we're probably gonna have some other news. If you missed any part of the show, as always, the show is sponsored by Weights and Biases by CoreWeave. Oh, by the way, the launch of the W Inference service that you can run Kimi on, that if you reply with K2 Kool-Aid, we're going to give you some access, $50 credit. I'll select a few of you. So please reply with K2 Kool-Aid if you want $50 access to our inference service. And all of this was culminated in the live watch party, which we love doing. This is like one of the coolest things we get to do with you guys all. Just love live watching Sam announce crazy shit and we analyze the crap out of it. So of ChatGPT agents that can do a bunch of stuff for you, culmination of the deep research stuff and the operator stuff together, including reinforcement learning. If you missed any part of the show, as a reminder, you can use the ChatGPT agents to go to ThursdAI.news and subscribe for you and analyze the latest episodes. ThursdAI.news. Everything we do here on the show is recorded again and posted as a podcast, as a newsletter, with everything in the links and show notes. Huge thanks to everybody who tunes in from week to week. Huge thanks to my co-hosts, and huge thanks for everybody who works and releases incredible things for us in AI. With that said, this is our show for this week. We are looking forward to seeing you next week. Very excited to what's going to come. And yeah, that's pretty much it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for celebrating my birthday with me. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your birthday.
Bye, everyone. Dude,